where it's hiding at. So
Do you
I
know
changed.
the hold Windows button and tab left or right trick? If it's like your active window.
You know what? I do know. Nope. It's
It's lost to the winds.
Alt tab. Let's see if I can do it that way.
Kyle,
See, I can select it on Alt tab, but it won't show up on my screen anymore.
What's
new
funny?
Interesting.
sword. New sword is a one-handed weapon.
Should be two if my memory serves. Can you not use a one-handed weapon?
No, I can.
Okay. Yeah, it should be two.
No, I didn't know if it was like one-handed 1d8, two-handed 1d10.
Right now I just have it as two-handed 1d8.
Gotcha.
It was listed as visitor.
My monitoring application.
Ah,
So basically, well, that's not correct. So basically, in order to get Foundry to broadcast our stream to Streamlabs, which is our current host, which I'll get into in a minute. Also, welcome to the stream. We're going to talk some tech, and then we're going to get into things. I'm running it through an alternate browser that shows just our game board from the player's view, and then I run everything from Foundry. But that might be changing next week because we're going away from Streamlabs. So once that migration has completed, number one, we won't have Discord anymore. So our current like stream method of having the different windows will be gone, and you'll actually call in technically to the stream, which means that I can give you guys all avatars and your own cameras. So it'll be like Luke playing Giga Grimwind with a video and then or your avatar and then your character name. Uh, I think I sent out a little demo of what the background is. So yeah. But I will get an extra copy and put it in the local chat. So we're going to start a little bit late today. We're waiting on a couple of players still, but welcome. Next week, we will start with our new hosting application, which should hopefully be a lot better. If you're having audio issues, let me know because we're working on dealing with all of that too. So yeah, that is that. So for those that are players, if you look at the Discord, I've posted the background that we'll be using for the updated stream, which is not quite as dark and somber as the one that we have right now, because the one we have right now is exceptionally foreboding. But we do what we can. But it's just cool.
so very nice.
It's a very nice. So yeah. Let me look up some stats real quick. That's not going to work. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing what you're saying, Dow. Finesse variant. Used to weigh 2 pounds. Yeah, I can agree with that. So I will update you momentarily. Just borked that whole thing from changing the size. Didn't I? Well, can't check. It's okay. I'm learning very
So
quickly that it's very hard to navigate streaming with so many things going, and I really need a second monitor.
I rearranged my monitors, and that's why my video is popping out to a weird position. It's trying to pop out to my position where my old monitor was. So
Yeah.
and nothing's there. And I don't quite know how to fix that, and I don't really care enough to fix that. So this is what we're gonna do. Works for me.
Checks out, honestly. Okay. Edit item. So yeah, we're just doing some upkeep right now. We wait for our last two people to be here.
Is Dannison going to be able to make it tonight?
As far as I know.
Okay. Last I had heard, they might not. So.
Oh, that's correct. Because they have the thing. They are not going to be here.
They have a thing with the people of the place.
They have the thing with the folks in the place.
At the time.
Ooh.
Are you sure it was at that time instead of the other time?
It might have been at this time instead of that time, but either or, honestly, as long as it's a time.
Well, if it's a time, you're always right. If it's that time, you're right twice a day.
Well, it's about time.
That's a good movie.
Also, I have a new headset, which will hopefully fix my audio issues, but we'll see, I guess.
Oh, groovy.
I'm going to grab some water real
Do
quick.
it.
I'll be right back.
Hydration
I meant
is
to,
critical, which is why I don't.
I meant to ask, Your Honor, on the sound side of things, does mine sound okay, or do I need to adjust anything?
I think yours is fine. What I try to do on my end, well, yeah, I'm a little quiet. Of course, I'm a little quiet. Sorry, I have people coming in on stream chat. I can't adjust my volume any higher, as far as I know, so I'm kind of SOL there, honestly. But I'm trying to match everyone to mine, and then I match the tabletop to that, I think, because I match that to you guys. So I kind of have to adjust everything on the fly. So as long as you guys keep yours at a consistent level, I have yours already adjusted in Discord.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't ever mess with mine, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Skibbity bop.
Bippy,
Sounds good.
Fortunately, I don't think that there's a way to boost my audio any farther. So we're kind of stuck with that.
You sound good to me.
Yeah, so the issue is the stream is so the way it works on stream is it takes my input audio and then your output audio, which is the entire output for my computer, which is why I go into like D&D mode. But because yours is set so that I can hear you, it's spicy. So I have to basically adjust your volume to match the way mine's outputting. 8-bit is that a bit better because I have lowered them down just a smidge. It's this crazy complicated like negotiation that I always have to do.
This is why when I originally was like, hey, we should start like a podcast or stream or something, and then I looked into it, I just slowly backed away from that.
Yeah, so right now my biggest issue, aside from just volume control, is broadcasting the tabletop properly and navigating around people having cameras. So what we're going to be doing is transitioning to Lightstream, I believe, which lets you basically call into my stream. So I would be the host and you'd be something like a guest star. And we'll be running some test streams that we can do tonight to see if that I can adjust that down a little bit more. If that will work, and if it does work, we'll go with that so that I can do your own personal little bar at the bottom, which gives you a bit more screen usage as well. The issue I have right now is in order to view the tabletop and the stream and everything and make it so that like our audience can actually see the tabletop without me pulling up like Dow's stat block in the middle of the session. Like, oh, well, Dow has a score of 15 and he's got 12 HP right now for some reason. I have to run that to a separate browser, log in as the visitor, and broadcast that stream, while I'm also recording the Discord pop-out screen so I can see all the videos, and then I have to put that over to it's a hot mess. So hopefully, Lightstream will make that work a bit better. I was talking to their customer service a little bit earlier today, and I think it's going to do what we need. Plus, there's just been some issues with Streamlabs. I don't know if I told you guys about this, but there was like some copyright infringement issues that they've been involved with. Namely, like ripping off OBS and then trying to take the name. There's a whole slew of things. So rather than get involved with that, one of my good friends who actually watches the stream, 8-bit, was like, "Hey, check this out." And then I looked at them, and they had the call-in feature that'll solve one of my big issues. So once it's done, we'll have a round screen that has like the DM view, and then at the bottom, if it works, I'm going to have a screen where each of you will have your video output or just an avatar for your character. So I think it'll be a little bit better.
It sounds like I appreciate all the work you put into that, buddy.
Listen, I'm trying. Who are we still missing? I think we're just waiting on Purse, who is just finishing a test. As soon as they start, we'll kick this off. But in the meantime, oh dang it! Also, for our audience, I have acquired some audio and ambiance that we can actually use in the stream. So if that's at an odd level, I'm going to go ahead and start some. I'm going to use you as my guinea pigs because I love you all. Can you tell me how this sounds in relation to the stream of the players and if my volume is okay? Because it should be fine, but everything tends to break when I touch it. So we'll start with this.
Waffles. Also, I forgot. Customary bowl of ramen.
Customary ramen. I have not a glass of water, but 3 drinks, including iced coffee, an energy drink, and then a sparkling ice. Because instead of keeping my throat clean, I'd like to like fill it with gunk.
I have my big old tumbler of water.
Your guzzler.
That's cool.
And a nondescript beverage of some sort. That we will not show. We will not show.
Yeah, you can't show. No labels in this chat.
There are no labels there.
We have a sponsor actually. One of my friends sponsors us. So shout out to my friend. You know who you are.
You're welcome.
Thanks, buddy. So I'll add. We've got some music going. I think that's a good level. Let's add some ambiance.
Hey, Kat. Stick your hand straight up in the air and wave. Kat says hi.
Hello. So just so people are aware, if you're interested in using the soundscapes that I use, because I'll just do a shout out here. Sword Coast Soundscapes. You can tell it's going to be a great night for DMing. Does a lot of my ambiances. And then I've actually just acquired the Monument Collection, which is currently on sale on Facebook, which has a ton of stuff in it. Not everything that I needed, but some good stuff. So, like, this song playing right now is from Monument, so I'm going to try and use a little bit of them. My players get a little bit more immersive sounds because, unfortunately, when you're a DM and you're, like, designing these scenes, you get inspiration from things like Pirates of the Caribbean and Star Wars and like really good sound clips that you can't really use while streaming. So yeah, that's a thing, but you know, it is what it is. So let's get some ambiance in here. But yeah, now we can actually have ambiance and a little bit of sound, which we'll see how that works. But while we're waiting on Purse, we'll go ahead and kick this bad boy off and start with a recap of what happened last time. So let's do this. See how this is looking. So I know that those that are here don't normally do our recap. But let's just let's throw you into it and see what you remember.
Okay. I have the notes in front of me.
Okay.
Oh, do it.
But it's a lot of notes, so I'm trying to get like a high level here. I'm trying to pick out like the important ones. All right. So Mafuyu goes into the room that Giger and Dice are in, and she goes in, and there's like, I think she sees like a shadow of Zothkug, or something we believe to be Zothkug. This quadrupedal. Oh, thank God! Oh, thank God! Oh, thank God!
Oh, hi.
I was trying to do the notes.
You're trying to do the notes?
We were
so glad you're here.
trying so hard and failing, so it was no, Eric, you did wonderful. I failed
start.
miserably.
Great start.
I'm so proud.
There
Did you
wasn't-
finish them? Do I need to pick up the rest?
Yeah, we got to. Mafuyu entered the room.
Yeah.
Oh. Let's see. Look,
You've got this recap thing down, man. I don't know.
I try my
It's
best.
a gift. It's a gift.
Let's see. I'll pull up the thing. I just got done with an exam. I think I smashed it. We'll see.
Cheers to that.
Okay, I have the notes pulled up. If you want to do the recap, so you didn't even start it. Basically, is from what I'm hearing.
Just barely.
I summarized the first bullet. I was on my way to success.
All right. Well, I'll session 37. Woo! I love that our campaign is now middle-aged or almost middle-aged. We're getting there.
Gosh.
Okay. All right. So we're in the Adventurers Hall. It's big. It's all. We start off with Giger being spooky because that's just kind of how it always is. And so Dice and Mafuyu have just entered. And Giger is like a desiccated corpse on the ground, and there's like spooky sauce cooking in the shadows in the corner. And there's like the inverted Othala everywhere. It's a whole thing. And so Mafuyu just like collapses because she is geeked out by blood. Which is very unfortunate for an adventurer, but whatever. And so Ando and Dao hear this, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And so they go and try to help the gang. So Ando sees Mafuyu on the ground, kind of wraps her up, and takes her outside of the room, and tries to get her to come back to focus, which works a little bit, but not entirely. So Dao, he covers his eyes with his scarf and uses like his extrasensory vision. I'm not actually quite sure what that's called. And yes, he doesn't really see anything physically there. And so Dao picks up Giger and takes him like outside. So Dice uses their eyes of the grave, doesn't see anything there. There's like some residual like uncomfy energy left, but nothing too terrible. Giger is still alive. He's not actually dead, but he's not doing super hot. And the all the stuff in the room, the walls, they're all illusionary, and so they kind of like slowly dissipate as everyone's standing in the room. Ando is like super stressed, high-strung stressed, and so he walks in, and and in a classic Ando move, walks into the room and just takes a whiff of it, just to see if it smells like wet dog, I guess. It doesn't, but there we go.
He's just checking.
Just checking. It smells like kind of like Giger, kind of like tobacco. No dog, unfortunately. And so yeah, so Artemis is trying to comfort Mafuyu, and that kind of gets her to snap out of it for the most part. And so Dice goes over to check on Mafuyu, and she feels bad that she's so panicked by blood because she's an adventurer, and it's a little bit inconvenient when you're in the business of killing things and blood's not your not your thing. And she super wants to make sure that Giger's fine, and Dice is like, Giger's fine. A lot of people are alive because of you, and there's nothing wrong with being afraid like you are. You're one of the strongest members of the party, and there's nothing to apologize for. Let's see. So outside of the Adventurers Hall, Giger feels like super awake because I think he took the thing from Jezebel's before he slept or sometime then, and so he's like on the ball. And so him and Dao go to a Greasy Spoon to get a little midnight snack, and so they come back, and Mafuyu just just grabs Giger, and he's as stiff and awkward as Giger usually is in these moments. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So Anna pulls Artemis to the side and doesn't really say what happened, just that something spooky happened, that he should probably get it checked out. And so Artemis like, I'll bring in some Clerics, it'll be fine. Let's see. Oh no, and he also checks the bar top for more Greta book blood, which is not there because Artemis cleans a lot. Yeah. So then after this, we immediately go to the tea party with the magistrate. So we go over to the Imperial Temple, And we wait in the lobby for a bit, and so Feldman shows up, and looking all nice, and just Dice just like goes in for the bear hug, and he's about as different awkward as Feldman is in these moments. And so yeah, first things first, he's like, "Hey Dice, I assume you're the same person because I don't know a lot of people made a rock, but you look a little different." And Dice is like, "Yeah, I met God, casually. I met my God, and she's pretty cool. And we talked about fate and the end of the world and all that jazz while we were in the mountains. You know, it was the cool things." And one of my favorite moments, Feldman's like, "I thought you were a boy," and Dice is like, "I don't know what that is," and then he's moved past it very quickly. And he asked about the specifics of knowing the end of the world. And Dice is like, "If I was supposed to know it, I would know it. We talked about it. I don't remember it. Whatever happens is going to happen." He's like, "Okay, I guess I just have to be okay with that now." And yeah, so at some point someone mentions that we're named the Stone Dogs. And he asks how that got come up with. And Dice is like, "Ando came up with it." And Ando's like, "Yeah. It was in a tough spot, and so I gifted this name." He's glad to see the party's alive because lots of adventuring parties have died recently, and that's real sad. The city is good. He's good. He's mostly just trying to figure out who he can trust and whatnot, and towing the line between what you know, some freedoms people just like shouldn't have, and he's also trying to navigate that as well. So he's asked like, "Hey, is there any info or like stuff you want while you're here?" And Dice is like, "I need a diamond because I had to use it during our trip," which he does not ask about, and Dice does not explain. And Feldman's like, "I just can't get you a diamond. They're very expensive." And Dice is like, "That's why I asked you instead of anyone else." And so he's like, "You should probably, work and get money so you can pay for your own damn diamond, Dice." And so that's just how it's going to be. Ando's like, "What?" Oh, we've also found out that Ando hates tea. Yeah, that's it. Let's see. He asked about info about the orc clans, and Dao asks about the Silent Wood. So Feldman's like, "You should probably be wary when you're asking about like orc stuff because Azeroth's got like a history and a societal prejudice against orcs, so tread lightly." But I guess they haven't heard from them in a while, whatever that's supposed to mean. And so the Silent Wood, they're just at the crossroads. Usually it's a good place for like getting ingredients for potions and the like magical weird things. Lots of strange things happen, especially in folklore, like the I forget what the official name is, but the troops that went missing, whatever that was called. And so and Dao, he's like, why do you want to know? It's Silent Wood. No one goes in there. And Dao just keeps it to we're helping a general shopkeeper retrieve the bodies of their dead friends. And eventually he's like, "Oh no, I feel bad if I make you uncomfortable." And Anna's like, "I feel like I shouldn't be knowing these things." And it's kind of fate that he does figure out this, that, and the other about the orcs and where he came from. Mushroom's like, "Yeah, y'all have changed quite a bit in a good way, in some ways more than others, but good." And Dao's like, "Hey, could you check on the house if we're gone too long, just to make sure everything's good and in order, because we got a couple servants in there and a family member." So he's like, "Yeah, that's fine, we can do that." And so we're politely ushered out of his office, and Giger kind of turns back to see if he like recognizes any of the BS we just threw out. Not all of it was BS. It was we were technically telling the truth, but like live mission, can we call it that? Maybe. He's like, okay, so Giger's like, is this man buying it at all? And no, he's not. He's like, Feldman probably knows that a lot of this is only some of the truth and not all of it, but he's gonna let it go because the party is useful. And all of this shenanigans with the tea parties and whatever is not really to appeal to Feldman. It's for Dice. So Dice shows up with the party. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Dao and Giger go on a light shopping trip. Dao is he goes to Yvonne's shield. And so he's looking for this battle mask that ends up like kind of being the shape of a bull, like a matte black metal. And it's got like red fire detailing over the kind of accentuate the fact that there is no eyes where they should be. And Giger thinks he's lost his mind, because why would you go into battle blind? Because it's not like does really explain the whole secondary vision thing to the rest of the party in super detail, but there's that. And so yeah, he also has the 2 swords that he picked up from the Jade Guard appraised and sells it to Yvonne. I think it's Yvonne that answers him, but whatever. And so he trades in the swords for a metal sign that for the Chateau Le Stone Dog, as we've now called it, that just says the Stone Dogs on it, to be delivered to the house. And so walk back to the house, and Dow kind of expresses to Giger that he would like to terminate the rest of the Jade Guard in an honorable death that they certainly do not deserve. And he's grown up with all the stories of the Jade Guard, and he kind of wanted to be them because they're these big, like, legendary figures to a lot of people. And now he's kind of realizing that the Empire and the Jade Guard have kind of hid behind their good name to do these really awful things that he's now discovered. And he doesn't want this to be a story of revenge, but more of a way to fix what's broken in society and the Empire, and to kind of hold it to a higher standard than they are right now. And he's like, Giger, are you with me? And Giger's like, you had me at killing people. So there's that. And then Giger asks Dow, then while the party is on their trip to the Silent Wood, if Giger becomes dangerous, just to run. And they talk about meditating for a bit, and Giger's like, you shouldn't meditate with me. Bad idea. Zothkug's scary. I don't know what he's going to do. And they discuss that if Zothkug were to come out of Giger or around Giger in some sort of way, Dow certainly wouldn't try to fight Zothkug, because that's kind of a silly idea in his head. Because it's Giger's patron. Who knows what he's going to do? But he's not sure about the rest of the party. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then we go back to the house. Back to Chateau Le Stone Dog. And Dice kind of goes to the house and tries to clean it of all of this badness, especially with all the stuff that's been happening with Giger recently. And just kind of goes through with some sage and incense. And there's not a lot of badness left in the house, because Dice has done this before in here. There's a little bit of strangeness with the old Kruken blade in the trophy room, and Dice can kind of sense a lot of the frustrations and like trauma that's been stuffed into the library by Dow since he's been in there for so long. So on the way over to the house, Mufuyu talks to Ando and thanks him for helping her out of the room, and calming everything down. And Ando's like, everyone's got their thing. Your thing is blood. I don't mess with snakes, which confirms to me that Dondo is Indiana Jones. And Mufuyu's like, I feel a little weird about being an adventurer, but it's all good. We're all adventurers here, and Mufuyu's stronger than she thinks she is. So Mufuyu goes to find Fiune and cleans up and kind of explains the same things, what happened, and they talk about Fiune going to work at Sumeko's Okia, which I think it's now called the Mai Okia, right? Okay. And thinks that she should really start working there. And if he was like, this thing with blood, it's only a facet of you. You've got such a big personality. There's so much more of you. It's when everyone kind of gathers together, and Satsuka hasn't made dinner yet, and which I'm sure she's like slightly panicked about, because that's that time of day. And Dice is like, you don't even know. We got a thing we're gonna do. Come on, come. And so they go to the Adventurers Hall, and it has been completely redecorated and redone. And there's like these really dark blue streamers that are everywhere, and there's cloth on the tables, and there's old bottles of different colors with candles in it that have kind of lit up everywhere. And Dice is like, I planned a party because I think Mufuyu deserves it. It's for everyone, but also I just kind of want to see Mufuyu dance. And so she gets up on the bar and kind of addresses everyone and thanks everyone. And then she starts on this beautiful dance where she casts dancing lights, and there's these beautiful like moon glowing orbs all around. And so she does her dance in the middle of the tavern, and then the lights kind of come together behind her to make this big round full moon in an illusion, and it comes to end, and everyone's like, phenomenal, amazing. The dancers from the Myokea have come, and Sumeiko's like, you really should start working here. You'd make bank. And so yeah. So in the meantime, after that, Dice is kind of like trying to be a good host and just like get Dice is the hype man, and is walking around. And so eventually Dice goes to Mafuyu and is like, hey, you promised you'd teach me to dance. Do you want to dance? And so they kind of do like this awkward waltz because Dice is very undexterous, and sings her a little song. Dao pulls onto the side, and after Ando's been in a few drinks and is like, hey, you know those scalps that you picked up? Do you want to pick up some more? There's quite a few. There's quite a few to go. We might have killed 10. So there's like 40, whatever. Jade Guard, let's go. And I was like, yes, without a second thought. And so Ando ends up intoxicated on a table, and he gets Mufui to make this beat. And so as the beat is made, he's walking around this table and it's like emphasizing it with yelling and stomping, and it's very like New Zealand warrior-esque in my brain. And then eventually at the end of this dance, he punctuates it with a fog cloud and runs out of the Adventurers Hall, and eventually I guess passes out drunk in a bush from what I remember outside. Mm-hmm. And so the fog cloud goes away, and yeah, everything's just wonderful. It's a good moment, and it's what makes life worth living.
Yeah. So a little bit of background for those that have not played with us for the past 36 sessions. Before the campaign, hundreds of years before, there was a massive incursion of orcs onto the turf, basically, of the Empire, the Zhan Yu Empire, as it is. And it's one of those historical events that helped shape the world that they have today, because, as it was called, the Orc War, there's this whole disparity that the orcs were pushed back and just stopped attacking at one point. They don't really know why, but the world has progressed from there. So there's a huge tension between orcs and the other races that exist in the Empire, of which there are not many. But it stems from that initial conflict, which is where you have legends of the missing barracks, called the Misthaven Barracks, for the record, which has not really been addressed, but it's one of those old legends. So I think, if memory serves, there were some things that wanted to be done at the party that didn't get addressed. Is that correct? Because I think, Luke, you had reached out to me saying that you wanted to do a thing, but I can't recall now. Is that
That's
a thing?
A good question. Hang tight.
I am hanging so tight.
I do not remember if I did or not. I have a general plan, but I think for tonight, I think Giger is going to try to just rest and relax with his friends and maybe try and enjoy it a little bit, because I think he knows the road ahead is going to be extremely difficult.
Okay. Then I'll narrate us into kind of the ending of this party and like how this all wraps up, and then guide us into that evening. There comes a point in time in this party, this event, that you guys host at the Adventurers Hall, that first of all you realize that Ando is like nowhere to be found. I imagine like somebody goes out to like look for Ando, he's like face down in a bush, like face down, butt up, just like passed out. And he's like Satsuka's right there, like trying to help him and carry him, and her just diminutive like cat girl person trying to carry this person back to the adventurer's house, the Chateau de Stone Dog, as it were. And there's just this general sense of joy and carousing and just partying before the adventure is going to be undertaken tomorrow. As you guys will recall, you've been requested by Artemis to help with their expedition into the Silent Wood. And you've requested that instead of leaving the day after tomorrow, that you leave immediately tomorrow, just because of the situation you've had with Giger, not knowing what's going on and wanting to see that resolved. Regardless, after about another hour at this party, just enjoying everyone's time and company, the joys therein with alcohol and dancing, and the presence of the geisha, you make your way back to the Chateau de Stone Dogs and start to bed down for the night. And I had a couple other things that I wanted to hit on, but Mafuyu is unfortunately out tonight, so I'll have to get to those later. But Giger, your rest tonight is not exactly peaceful. You close your eyes and get in your bed to sleep, and the world almost seems to like fade into this existence that you've seen many, many times before. You find yourself on this wide stone circle with the hilt of what you know as your pact weapon embedded into it, just faintly illuminated by the soft reddish glow of what looks to be almost 100 torches just embedded into these wooden plinths that are on the circumference of this forest clearing. As you stand taking in this scene, you hear two almost whispered words issued in an almost gnarled voice that just says claim and purpose in your ears. What do you do?
Giger is going to reach down for the hilt of the razor with the palm that he has carved the I cannot remember the name
It's
of
okay.
it.
The Othala.
Othala.
It's
Yeah.
technically a bind rune, is what, because it's a multitude of them, but it's a mixture of 3. But you're using that hand.
Yes,
Okay.
specifically.
As you enter this dream space, you're a few steps away from this sword, sitting on the edge of the circle as opposed to right in the center. So you take those couple of steps, and as you stride forward, you hear an almost like grunt of pain from off to the side, and you look over, and as you've seen it before, you see the wounded bodies of your entire battalion all around you from that first battle. Assuming this doesn't change your actions, and if it does, you're more than welcome to stop me. You reach down with your carved hand and slowly start to pull this sword from its stone housing. You hear just this grating of what feels like bone against stone as it's pulled forth. And it's actually quite a bit longer than what you're used to, because you're used to kind of like a short sword about this length. It's getting out to be about this tall. And as you pull it out, you see that there's chains attached to the bottom of it. Attached to something, but that binds you to that spot. It's not something that prevents you from pulling it out, but the chains don't stop. They just keep going into that hole. So as you pull it out, hoisted above your head, there's still this chain that leads down deeper and deeper. What are you doing?
Oh, let's see here. I'm trying to think if there's I don't really have a way to break the chain necessarily. I don't know if I should either. Clearly, Giger wants to serve. He wants back with Daddy real bad.
Mm-hmm.
So the chains, are they attached to the hilt or the tip of the sword?
They're attached to the tip of the sword.
Okay.
I'll give an insight, because you've read the journal and seen this from a different perspective. When you saw this scene from the third person perspective, you saw that there was a binding between Zothkug and this point. This chain is attached to like the very edge of the sword, where it still has a full firm grip, but it leads down almost the same way that the binding that you'd seen previously did. You get it to about this far, and it catches.
Give it a pretty decent pull.
Okay. I won't make you roll.
We'll call it a. Oh,
no,
sorry.
Go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna say I'm gonna give it a good hard pull, like both hands, and just try and all his body weight try to pull back on it.
You feel it catch like at this point right here, and then kind of lean in, tipping the blade up to get that full extension of the chain, and just yank. And you feel that chain give, and hear the stone crack next to you. And as you look over to see what's happened as this chain is freed from your sword, you see what looks to be a headless statue holding up the remains of a roof. And as your attention focuses, that statue is Dice. This kind of catches you as you realize that the roof that they're holding up is starting to like collapse in on this point. And you turn your attention around, and you see another one of your companions, Dao, put their hands up to try to catch this roof to hold it up. And they're immediately pushed into the ground, flattened by this. And as you turn your attention around, trying to find some means of escape, you find the last piece of this roof is coming down and smashes you on this point. And that is your night. From there, you wake up in a cold sweat with the morning sun. Well, actually, you live in the basement because you're a little bottom dweller, so you wouldn't have the morning sun. You would just wake up in the darkness of the dungeon you call home, deep underneath your chateau. Your sheets and all that you're wearing is drenched in sweat, but you are alive and the mark is still there. It burns just slightly, but you are at home.
To sit up and try and draw the razor.
You reach out your hand and focus for a minute. The razor is there, as it has been previously.
You just kind of do the and go ahead and put it back.
You kind of examine it, and there's this almost cold temperature to this blade as you hear the words that you heard in this specific dream vision playing over in your head. You open your hand and it disappears.
Well, that's nice and unsettling. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to check out Dao's sword too, because I didn't do that yet.
Okay.
And I know
Go ahead.
Oh, I know he had given it to me, so I just don't think Giger had a chance to really look it over.
Dao, why don't you describe the way your original weapon looked before you'd received your new one?
So the original weapon was a fairly small sword, and along the blade was this. I don't have a great word for it. These swirls, almost like artistic cursive, down the blade that were etched in there. And then the handle was very simple with a nice, simple diamond pattern wrap of this purple and black cloth. And the at the end of the hilt was a little like figurehead of a bull in gold.
Very cool. Giger will kind of look around and I know he has his Wakizashi as well. Size wise, how do they compare? Did I say that word completely wrong?
No, you actually said it right. As far
Okay.
as I know, my
The
Japanese is not
Dao's
perfect.
sword is much smaller.
Okay.
So for scale, a Tanto would be about dagger size, about this long. A Wakizashi is going to be about this, typically about this length. If you want, I can grab one and take a picture and show you the comparison between that and a full size katana. And then you have a Nodachi, which would be almost like greatsword length.
Okay. I gotcha.
So
So it's maybe with hilt included 24 inches
probably about that
to
range.
28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at about 36 for a full size katana. It's the difference
Okay.
is like a dagger to a short sword to a rapier, if you will, to a long sword.
Gotcha.
Clarify that.
Okay.
Or broadsword.
And then Dow's would be what, more like equivalent to between a dagger and a short sword.
I'd say probably a round short sword. Wouldn't you agree, Dow?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Well then, Your Honor,
Yes, dear.
I don't know exactly how to add that to my inventory.
Oh, I can get that added in. Let me do that for you. I
You
apologize. That's probably a thing that
are
you
a
would like to
perfect
have,
angel.
right?
Yeah, actually.
I feel like you might enjoy having that.
Yeah, actually, Geeker's gonna do something nice.
Oh, are you? You think so?
Yeah, no, he's got a plan.
It is now added to your inventory.
Cool. All right. After that, I am good for the time being. I think Giger would probably head up and just try and see what everyone else was getting up to.
Okay.
And if we were getting ready to go. How am I feeling, by the way?
Better. It's you still have the graze, but your body is slowly recovering. You get the sense at this point that this might be something that you have for a long time, but
Yeah.
that you're going back just a bit. So you will have lasting effects of this, but you're not aging forward to the dust.
Gotcha.
As you move forward into that moment, we'll backpedal just a little bit because Ando, I'd like to imagine that you probably woke up at about 3 o'clock ish from your drunken stupor. I'd imagine the party probably went on to like 1 o'clock, maybe 1:30. Everybody else goes to bed. You were brought in by like 11:30 midnight because you downed them like a champ. But it's about 3 o'clock when you wake up in your own cell next to Giger's. That I'd like to imagine you've like customized your outfit a little bit in your short time there, but you come to your senses, fully alert and ready to go.
I'm gonna sit up and rub some of the sleep out of my eye and just look around, make sure that it's quiet.
Mhm.
And I think from there I'm going to cast silence on myself, or if it has to be an object on me, um, I will cast it on my eye patch.
Okay. I think that's a point you choose. Either way, it's totally doable.
Okay. I'd like to get up, and I think, does the chateau have a study, or would the library be the closest?
I think there you have a couple options. The library is typically occupied by Dao. If you're looking for a place with books, library, and there's a couple in the master suite, which is occupied by Mafuyu and Fuyune right now. If you're looking for just a place that's quiet and meditative, there is also the trophy room.
I'm looking for pen and paper. Ink and paper, I guess.
Ink and paper. You'd have options. There's a meeting room on the upper floor. You have the trophy room, which might have some of that. I would imagine it's kept around. It's not a poor house. They've got plenty of it. You also have the dining room that would likely have some supplies.
Um, okay, let's go ahead and try to work our way towards, I guess, the trophy room to look around.
Okay. Yeah, and you're keeping silence. Let me double check the rules of silence.
Yeah, I want to do
I
this
don't-
as stealthily as possible.
I don't think there's any issue with this. Spear centered on a point you choose within range. So it is centered on a point you choose.
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, let me just double check the wording here. Yeah, so centering it on a point you choose. You're stuck putting it in a place. However,
Okay.
This can be cast as a ritual, so you could take the 10
Okay.
minutes to
Let's
cast
do that.
this. I think
Let's do that.
typically it's like an hour to cast a ritual, but it's silence, and I know you have the time.
This one says 10 minutes.
That's the concentration amount.
Ah, okay.
I think rituals are 1 hour. Let's just find out. Why not?
I think rituals are 10 minutes.
Are they 10 minutes? What is it that's an hour? Spellcasting. 10 minutes longer to cast than normal.
Yeah.
So this would just be straight 10 minutes. So you could take the 10 minutes and put it like on the floor above you and like make your way up to that. And then cast it to the next location. It's on the upper right floor.
It says it. Yeah, it says here, so I don't know if it cuts through
I can go ahead
wood or not.
open up our map. Yeah, it would break through any surfaces. So you are coming from the ground floor. You would make your way up to the second floor. Right now we have Giger's token. But you take the time to like stealthily navigate. Why don't you roll a stealth check just for timing's sake? Okay. Jeez Louise, yeah, with a 25. You make your way up to the trophy room. You were going to the trophy room, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of go through the drawers quietly, casting silence in this area as well to find some paper. And you do. Looks like there was a couple of notebooks that were kept here to catalog things, and as he was studying items that he would document what was going on. It's not hard to find.
Okay. Yeah, I have a note I'd like to make, and I'd like to find an envelope to put it in.
Okay.
Or I guess it would be like scrolled. Can we make a scroll here?
You can make a rudimentary. I mean, you could roll the piece of paper to make a rudimentary scroll. That's not a problem.
And then we'll just tie it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like a formal scroll, but you could easily get just that, and you've got string and stuff in your inventory.
Is there any way to make it sealed?
Sealed?
Yeah, that's kind of important here.
You'd need a full wax seal, and the best way to get that would be to get into the master bedroom or the study.
Okay.
I mean, you do have silence cast, which has a 30-foot radius, if I remember
20.
correctly. 20-foot radius. So that's 40 feet. If you cast it on this wall here, I mean, technically you could break into Mafu's room.
All I can see is the darkness of my cell.
Oh, well, let's fix that for you.
I can see the darkness of my
All I know is you're going to be down at the bottom left now.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and rummage up to the study then.
Okay. You're going to go to the study?
Yeah.
Okay. That brings another question then. Dow, do you go to the bed in your normal study, or what is your plan for the evening?
Well, I've been sleeping in the library.
Yeah.
I'd probably go back and sleep in the library. I imagine I have a nice comfy bed of books.
Yeah. So, sliding open the door, because the library and the study are the same thing, unfortunately.
Correct.
Yeah, and that is really our only option here. You slide open the door and you see that Dao is asleep. Um, Dao, what's your passive perception?
Oh, I don't know. I have blind sight.
Well, yeah, but
Like
you're also
that.
asleep.
Nah, I'm joking. My passive. Oh, it's not gonna be high.
It's going to be very hard to beat this stealth check. I'm going to be completely honest with you. With a 25,
Yeah, I know my passive isn't 25. My
Yeah.
passive is 12.
okay, we'll keep that as a note. Um, are you taking as much time as you need to just recast silence in here? Or is there a point that you stop? Because at this point, you're probably looking at about 40 minutes. Because you look at getting up to the second floor, you can get past the door and not worry about that.
Mhm.
Going up.
No,
from
I
there-
don't. I don't think I'm going to cast it again.
Okay.
Well, it depends on if I find what I'm looking for first.
Okay.
I don't mind walking back without it.
Make an investigation check. Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't a hard DC. And it's not so much the investigation that I'm curious about as whether or not you find the items and whether or not they were here. You kind of poke around a little bit. You don't see a ceiling kit here.
Okay. I assume I took some paper from the trophy room.
Yes, you have the paper and everything with you. You don't have a ceiling kit here.
Okay. I think I'll go back to my. Are there any lamps already filled anywhere where there's light in the house?
There's a couple in like the upstairs and downstairs like main areas, but those are there'd be like 2 lit on each floor.
I'll probably go to the one downstairs since it's closer to dungeon, and I just want to write a quick note under the light before going back to my room.
Okay. Would you like to send me what you're writing?
Yes.
I'm just curious, and I'm nosy, and I'm the dungeon master, so I can be. This is the best part about being the dungeon master, is because you get to know everything. Everything.
Oh, you guys don't have to wait on me. I'm like slow.
You're writing it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you write then. I'm curious. Ando, make another investigation check, if you would please. I'm curious about how thorough your investigation was and how well you put everything back into place. Okay. Then Dao. Well, let's ask Ando then. Is your focus on making sure it looks like nobody went through here?
Not necessarily. My focus is on not being caught.
Okay. Because with the 10, I would say that there's some stuff that's like kind of out of place. That as Dao wakes up, having spent their whole time in this library, they would know that somebody was in here doing something. But then nothing appears to be missing.
Fine. That's fine.
Dao, as you come to the next morning, you kind of like blink the sleep out of your eyes, look around. Everything seems fine, but you can tell some things are moved around. There's a couple books that are out of place and that have been shuffled around, and the door's like not completely closed, but just barely open.
Someone ruined my Dewey Decimal System. I will. Can I make my own investigation check to see if there's any clues of who fucked with my stuff?
Yeah, make an investigation check.
Did you touch my drum set?
With a 13, I will tell you, you don't have evidence as to who did it. It's interesting though because it doesn't look like anything was taken, It's the kind of things where like somebody like might have moved a couple books out of the way just to see if anything was around there, and like slid them back, but it's not quite the way it was. Nothing does appear to be missing, but you're not certain who. They didn't like take out. This is Dice's journal, and they like took that.
I
There's
think
not any clear determination.
I think Dow would write a note that says, "Hey, just ask if you want to check a book out. I have a system," and put it on the door in a very petty, like passive aggressive manner.
This is the session that Dow just becomes a librarian. You're the new Jocasta New from our
It's me.
D&D campaign. Yeah, you just post it right on the door, and now you are confident that the next time anybody needs anything, go right to you.
Good.
Yeah. So I like to imagine that everybody's coming together at this point, and the next morning it's about 9-ish. I think you guys got home at 1. That's about 8 hours worth of rest. We'll say 9:30 for a little time to freshen up and get ready. You come and gather in the dining room. Satsuka's already worked on preparing meats, breads, typical morning breakfast fare. And she's kind of like taken off to the side. Aoi, interestingly enough, is not up yet. She had a late night as well, helping you all with your event. But the scene is yours to do with as you see fit.
Quick little thing. I think is when Dice comes back from the party, they plant the moonflowers in the garden that's kind of inside in that little courtyard.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. I'd like to imagine, because you stay there typically.
Yeah.
I'd like to imagine
I live there.
that there's parts of the garden that have kind of started to deteriorate just a little bit. And that there's this moment the night before that you kind of just like unplant a few things that were starting to decay and replace them with these flowers and set up a couple little bushes and areas for these, intermittent with the stones that kind of separate the space and make it what it is. It's designed to be some sort of like a calm, almost Zen garden, but not quite. But yeah, easy enough.
That's all I had.
You have planted the flowers.
I imagine I come upstairs and just grab a quick piece of meat. Just whoever's around listening, I'm just gonna say, "Oh, I'm still not feeling too good. I'm gonna go just take a quick, get some fresh air, and walk with a piece of meat out the door."
Okay. You all watch as Ando walks in, takes some meat, and just nopes.
But we're supposed to.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Aren't we supposed to be leaving this morning?
He said he'd be right back.
That can be anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours with this party. So I don't know. Can't be gone all day.
So Ando, where are you going?
I just want to, as soon as I'm out of sight, I just want to start running towards the adventurers hall.
Okay. I just imagine like Ando like goes around the corner and just like full on just Forrest Gump just hoofs it. But no, I mean it's not like a dead run, I'd imagine, but a quick run over to the adventurers hall. It's not hard. You know where it is, and it's not too far from here. You push open the doors. Interestingly enough, Artemis isn't up yet. Who is up is the boy, who you'd recognize from your time heisting the house that you now live in. And he kind of like looks up, not expecting you in quite so soon. Says, "Oh, hello. Did you need something? I can get Artemis if you need anything other than food."
Yeah. No, I thought he'd be up, but it's okay. Do you know if he keeps anything to seal letters around here?
I'm sure he does. I can go grab something. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
And he kind of like shovels off and disappears back in that back living area that you guys haven't fully investigated yet. You haven't like snuck into his house late at night, sneaking around, kind of things that you guys do. Sorry?
Yet,
yes. You dented his window, just didn't invade his personal space yet.
Yeah.
A couple minutes later, he comes back with a.
Working on it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He comes back with a stick of green wax and a small contraption designed to hold a small spoon to melt the wax in. He says, "This should work for you. It shouldn't be a problem."
Thank you. I'm gonna take it and stamp it.
Okay. It comes with a seal from of Artemis's. That's just the Adventurer's Hall. It's like it's a symbol of an A with an H behind it, with this like a leafy flourish. That's matches the green wax quite well. But you stamp this scroll after the 3 or 4 minutes of heating the wax.
Okay. On the outside, I'm going to take. Can I imagine that there are some coals left in the hearth from last night?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to take one that's a little sharp. I'm just going to write the name of the recipient on the outside of it.
Okay.
And I'll also put. That's all I'll put. And I'll slide it. I'd like to slide it under Artemis's door.
You have to go behind the counter to get under his door. You're just like walking around.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So you finish sealing your wax and like pick up your paper and then just dead ass, just like walk behind the counter over to his door and slide it under where the boy is just like come out of, and he's just like watching. You're like, okay. But you slide it under the door and give it a little scoot.
Wait a second. He came out of that door? I thought.
Yeah, no, he
I thought
goes into
Artemis was sleeping in
Artemis's
there.
living area. So the way the adventure hall is laid out, you have like the main hall area. You have over to this side rooms, and then there's an L-shaped counter here, and in the back here is the doorway that leads into his living area, which is where previously known as Finduli Belloc was getting your supplies.
Okay. I don't want the boy to see it, but I don't necessarily want to wake up Artemis either. That's fine. I'll just give it to the boy and tell him to give it to Artemis.
Okay. He says, okay, no problem. You should have it within an hour or two.
Okay. And I'll tell you the name of the recipient as well.
Who is the... Oh, you're telling me. Okay. Okay. I eagerly await. Okay. You leave this and assume that it will be done per your instructions. It takes the better part of like 5 minutes max to run back into the house. Everyone's still kind of getting ready to go and eating and the like.
See? He said he'd be back, and you were all worried.
How long did it take him to get back?
10 minutes, 15 minutes.
10 minutes. All right. All right. You're right now. You always are. What was I saying? Welcome back, Ando. I don't know what you were doing, but howdy.
Well, just had to sweat out some alcohol.
Is that how that works?
Sometimes it works. Sometimes you lay down in a ditch and vomit, but this time it's the former.
Y'all people folk are weird. I don't do none of that. Do I sweat? And Dice kind of like looks at themselves. How do you do that? Never mind. Good morning, everybody. Hello. And Dice like surveys the party, specifically locking onto Giger, to make sure like he's okay, like he's not going to flip and die right here, right now.
I mean, this is Dungeons and Dragons.
It is Dungeons and Dragons.
But for real, he looks a bit better, I would say. Some of the wrinkles have faded just a little bit. He still has the gray, specifically in his beard and hair, but some of that has faded back to its natural color.
Okay. Well, Giger, you seem to be, I guess chipper is the wrong word. You look better than you did. So something happened?
Yes, but I don't know that you would approve.
Probably not. So I suppose we're going to the Silent Wood today, or at least making our way over. What all do we need? I I don't know a lot about the wood or anything. Artemis mentioned a temple or something that he was staying in, and the only temple I know that's in the wood is the one to the lady. So I don't know. I suppose I'm just curious about it, but I can't imagine it's too terrible if it's the ladies. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. What are y'all thinking?
I am familiar with the outskirts of the area. However, I do have business. I believe that is where Zofkug has been directing me.
You sure you gotta take care of that? I mean, you're looking better. You're doing better.
Yes,
I
I'm
mean,
doing better because I made peace, not because I slashed at him.
well, I just don't want you going nowhere, Giger. That's all.
Then help me fulfill, and maybe I will be free. But until then, I must serve my purpose. Failure to do so, I believe, would be very catastrophic for all of us.
Who's to say it's not gonna be one of those things where you do one thing and then he's got another thing for you to do, and it's just a never ending cycle of you trying to play catch up all the time, and your work ain't never gonna be done. And
Then so be it. But failure means death. So long as I live, I have some chance. If I die, I have none. And right now, with Zofkug, I have life. And so with Zofkug, I must stay.
I don't know. I've seen you put more in peril with him around than not.
I have also saved us several times with those powers. So long as I'm doing as I'm told, no harm will come. If I fail, he will crush us all.
I guess you can see like Dice's and Dice doesn't usually get like this, but Dice's jaw kind of like grinds back and forth, and their face kind of like usually very emotive, but they're very flat, and doesn't make eye contact with Giger. And then once he says this, they just kind of get up and go.
I guess with Dice out of the room, I'll look at Giger and say, I think he'll kill you either way. But I agree, it's good to have you around for one more day. We got to do what we have to.
Girl, okay. Yes, I believe you are correct. This is not a win-win situation. It is I am a servant and he is a master. If I remain useful and obedient, I buy one more day. It's not an ideal arrangement, but it is not one that I am able to back out of so easily. I do, however, have something for you.
For me?
Yes, you've proven yourself, and I believe you have earned this. Giger will pull out the wakizashi and hand it over to Hondo.
And you said this one's about this long?
Yeah, it's about you'd be thinking about probably this long.
Take a look at it. That's a sharp blade.
Yes, I kept it so it served well.
This is yours.
Yes, a spoil of our victory over the named villain of the children. Oh, what was his name? Arthur Belloc.
Adler Belloc. Yes.
Adler Belloc. Ah. Oh, wait a
Some
minute.
disrespect on that name.
I know.
Man.
He doesn't have a name anymore, technically.
Yeah.
True.
Then I was gonna say I was going for something that my brain just did not compute. Anyway, is a spoil of our victory over the nameless previous owner of our manor.
I saw the child out on my run.
Over with the
I did
Adventurers Hall and Artemis.
I did a loop over there, made sure I didn't spit up too bad at the bushes. And yeah, I saw the boy in there. Looked like he was working.
Any word if Artemis is ready to roll?
I didn't see him. I just ran there and back.
Interesting. We should be prepared to head out soon.
I agree. I'm ready.
I hope that serves you well.
I look forward to letting some blood with it.
It's quite enjoyable. I definitely enjoyed the slashing action of the blade. Very smooth. Some swords can be very grinding when they hit the bone. This, not so much.
This reminds me almost of a knife I had once. Cut into some deer. But that's long gone.
Well, until you find it again, here is one for you. Enjoy.
So, you're handing over the Wakizashi of protection, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Of the what?
Do you tell him anything about what it does?
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you get a cool sword. Looks nice.
Awesome.
It looks seemingly innocuous, and I will tell you, with your size, this is an offhand weapon or a short sword. So
Okay.
the way a wakizashi is traditionally used, you'd have in your full getup, you'd have your katana, a wakizashi, and a tanto. Tanto you could hide in your kimono. The wakizashi would be like on the side. So that would be your offhanded weapon that's used more as like a shield and a deflection than an actual cutting implement. You can use it as a cutting implement, and in the hands of a gnome like Giger, it's a full-on sword, kind of like Frodo with Sting. Like, it's not meant to be a sword, but it's a sword.
Okay.
But it is a very nice-looking, but otherwise unremarkable wakizashi. It's got a very finely honed edge. Looks like it would cut very well, and it's been well-crafted.
So this is something I would use.
Full disclosure, I honestly forgot what it did.
Are you gonna take it back?
It's okay.
No, I'm not. I absolutely meant to give it to you.
It's just one of like very, very few magical items that I've given you guys this entire campaign. It's probably the most valuable possession you have.
I'm gonna have to find a lore reason to identify this.
Yeah.
Or bond with it. What's the correct word?
With this one, it'd be an identify. But yeah, you have no idea what it does. But I have added it to your inventory, so you can use it. So
Thank
technically, you know what it does, but in character, you do not.
Okay.
But But yeah, and I have removed that from your inventory, Giger, so you no longer possess that. So what's our plan?
Is everyone assembled in the same spot here so far?
Not Dice.
Or are we all
Dice.
not Dice?
Dice got angry and left. Dice needs to
Oh,
keep
that's
holding
right.
because Dice is cranky.
Ah, this is where we
Dice
need
needs a
Mafuyu.
bagel or something. Yeah,
Yeah, this is where we need Mafuyu.
she's probably got
Mafuyu
bagels.
would be able to smooth this over in like 3 seconds because it's Mafuyu.
Mhm.
Our bard rules. That's all I got to say about it.
So what do you do? Or you can just like leave with this tension. It's up to you.
I think. Let's see here. I'll go find Dice.
Okay. Dice, where have you gone? What are you up to?
I think Dice doesn't want to be in the house right now, and what they're feeling, they don't know what to put a name to because they haven't felt it really that often, or really ever, and just doesn't know what to do, and it's a mixture of like wanting to say something but not knowing what to say, wanting to do something physical but knowing they can't, and just like all of this pent up tension they don't know what to do with and don't know what to put. And so I think that they start walking first and foremost, and just keep going. I mean, this is something I do. Like you just kind of like your brain just kind of like leaves your body for a second, and then your body just like goes on autopilot. And so Dice doesn't really know where they're going, but just wanders and stays in their own head, and doesn't really care who they run into, where they're going, and just goes where the wind takes them, I suppose.
So are you leaving the house?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Giger, this will require either a survival or an investigation check, depending on if you want to track or just find a way around the city.
Let's just do an investigation.
Okay. Okay. With a 22, well, I'll back up and I'll kind of narrate how this walk goes, and then I'll get into how you're found. Dice, you have two real companions in this city that you feel are there for you, that you can trust, and that you rely on heavily. And I would like to imagine that as you just leave this house and just put everything behind you for a second, because you just need to not for just a minute, you find yourself walking towards first the Imperial Temple. And from there, you like do a couple laps around the courtyard and start heading northward towards the Adventurers Hall, just making this loop of the main trade route of Azeroth, which is very easy to go through. And so, Giger, I would like to imagine that with the 22, you know Dice. And you know that, to an extent, Dice doesn't have a lot of places that they go. They have a couple of confidants, and they have a god that's not here. That they like, there's no temple to find their cleric at. There's nothing like that. And so, your first thought is Artemis. Because they've always been there. When this whole mission started, it was with Artemis. Every step of the way, you've had the Adventurers Hall to kind of be your base of operations. And that's the first place you think to look. And so you get to the Adventurers Hall, as a carriage is being set up outside, off kind of towards the side, so not directly in front of the business end of the shop. But you push open the doors, and there's a couple people moving in and out. There's a couple of men, one man and a dwarf that are currently loading supplies between the hall and that cart. But you don't see Dice, and you don't see Artemis right now. So as you enter this space, I'd like to know what's in your head and what you're doing, and then we'll get to what happens a little bit later.
Is it right now? Is it still? Is it? I'm assuming kind of early in the morning, so maybe just like a
You're looking at about
sparse or
10:30 in the morning at this point.
okay.
There's a couple people that are in here eating, and the boy is actually in the process of serving them, making sure dishes are clear, making sure that the restaurant's upkept. And he's doing a pretty good job, especially for a person that's recently had a, first quarter life crisis and is seeking new career opportunities in not slavery.
I felt that.
Yeah, it's for us all. It's a 2021 mood. He's seeking new career opportunities in a different field. For those of you that don't know, this boy Finduli's father was heavily involved in the slave trade through Azeroth. Was captured, tried, and it was determined that he would not only be put to death, but his whole family put to death, and his name struck from the record and never uttered again. And through the party's intervention, Finduli was allowed to live with the understanding that he would have a caretaker, and that caretaker is Artemis. But he is no longer allowed to have a name unless it's given by Artemis or someone else of authority over him. So he has a new career opportunity. Sorry, continue.
Do I see? Let's see here. I'm trying to think if I were Dice. I think I'll poke my head in and see if I can get the boys' attention.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in, he's eyes, ears, and attention. He says, "Oh, welcome. Is there's something I can help you with? Do you need a table, or are you here for Artemis?"
Is Artemis awake?
He is. He's in the process of getting ready. I can fetch him.
No, don't disturb him. Have you seen our stone companion, Dice?
Not yet this morning.
Very good. If you do, will you please send someone to let me know? I will be walking around the main strip of the city, if you will.
If I'm to send someone, how will they find you if you're just walking around?
Tell them to look for an angry gnome or something. I don't know.
Okay. I will do that. Is your party almost ready to go?
I believe so, but we are working out some loose ends.
Okay.
Give us just a little bit more time, and I'm sure we will all be here ready to roll.
Okay. Well, I will. I'll keep my eyes open, and if I see them, I will let you know.
I appreciate it.
Kind of nods and says, "It's my pleasure." In the meantime, I'll let Artemis know that you guys are up and at 'em, and that we should probably be heading out shortly.
Key-girl nod. That'll do, boy. Good job.
You see him give a bit of a smile and says, I'm sure Mr. Grimm will be pleased. And he makes his way around the corner and back out to that back room that you've seen before. So Giger, I'm assuming that you turn around and head back out into the street.
Yes. Looking for, I guess, if there's any sign of disturbance or any kind of Dice specific
If Dice put a dent in something.
Yeah, pretty much looking either for footprints or a bunch of people getting shoved out of the way by an absent-minded Dice. taking a stroll.
Yeah, or like something to like jump on that will break underneath you, or like to crush or push through,
Right,
break something
right.
broken. You know.
Is that all I am to you? Is something to break other things?
Listen,
No, you also
Listen.
turn things inside out every once in a while, and
Every
that's
once in a
pretty dope.
Yeah, so you go through the C streets looking for somebody that is in fact inside out. Hard pass. Hard pass. No, but you make your way down the strip on the western side of Azeroth. I know the city map. I always get those backwards, and I don't know why. But you make your way down the western strip of Azeroth, all the way down to where you see Jezebel's aromatics and the bathhouse, and start making your way back up before you see what looks like a stone head, in front of another group of people that are kind of just like walking a couple paces back and talking to themselves, between themselves.
Cool. Giger will start heading towards that stone head.
Okay.
And will call out dice.
Sure enough, you are kind of like lost in your own thoughts and imagination for quite a while, and then you hear what sounds like some angry gnome yelling at you. He's not angry right now, and he's yelling for you, not at you, but
Dice is gonna take like a hard turn somewhere, and keep walking, like trying to honestly evade Giger at this moment.
okay, so you're like trying to duck into an alley?
Yeah.
Okay.
As undexterous and clunky as
Okay.
Dice is.
Okay. Yeah, so you like turn and like dart into the nearest alley.
Yeah.
And I guess a chase ensues. Unless Giger, are you going to pursue Dice?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Giger, what's your movement speed?
25.
Dice, what's your movement speed?
I think it's like 30.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming it's 30. Okay. So, how to even go about this? Let's do just contesting acrobatics and athletic checks, because I'm just curious. We'll see. Or Dice, what are you doing to slow Giger down?
Dice really is not clever enough to act like put traps or whatever the hell to evade someone. So mostly it's just like, honestly, how fast? Because Dice doesn't want to run. Dice is like kind of like angrily stomp walking away,
with no idea where you are.
No idea where I am. And just kind of like, if there's something in the way that doesn't look like it's important, Dice is just gonna kind of like brute force their way around it and just keep it pushing.
Okay.
Just does not want to hear Giger behind them.
Giger, let's do an athletics check from you, and I'll kind of pull into the scene. So Dice, you duck into an alley. You're not sure at all where you are. But you duck into this alley and just beeline towards the end of it. Not even sure where that's going to take you. Just to pull out from the scene a little bit, you're going between two stores. You're not even sure which stores they are. You're just going at this point. But you go down this alley and hang a hard left, just on a dime, and are like face to face with what looks like a Hangyokai male, carrying a stack of boxes for some purpose. You're not sure at this point, and almost bump into him. And meanwhile, Giger, you're coming around this corner and just hot on their trail, trying to track them down. Are you running?
Not necessarily running, but very brisk walk.
Okay, this is the most passive-aggressive chase scene I've ever encountered, ever.
Like Dice is mad, but like Dice doesn't want to be an inconvenience to people.
No, so you're both just being petty
time.
children and like power walking away from each other.
Dice is less than a year old. I think they're allowed to have that.
But you come face to face with this person and almost bowl them over. I mean, you've said that you've pushed past anything that's not necessarily important. How does dice handle seeing this person in their way?
Are the boxes actively falling?
No, they're being carried.
Okay, then Dice kind of like turns tail and walks the other way. Like if they're facing this way, Dice just kind of like shoop and goes that way.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you just kind of turn around and go down the back of these shops. And you can so where you guys normally walk is the main thoroughfare of the market street. This is kind of like the back end where you can see that there's stacked boxes of wares and goods and stuff like that, and some of the back doors that lead into these shops. It's not as clean. There's like some puddled bits in the center of the road where you can see that like some of the rainwater from prior in the a few days ago is like collected and not quite dried yet. It's not filthy. It's just not as clean. But you start walking down this side passage that leads towards the back end of these shops. And Giger, like you round the corner and see this Hangyokai just confusedly like looking around and then going up through that alley towards the main market street. And look both ways, and there's Dice a couple paces off, stomping angrily through the alleyways.
Try and get to the point where I'm almost keeping pace with Dice.
Okay. With a 21, it's not hard. They're not actively like running. Unless you'd like to contest that and actively like try to increase your pace as you hear gear getting closer every time.
No, I'll just
Okay.
let it happen. I kind of imagine that Giger is close enough that Dice can kind of like feel him moving behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the Russian air or whatever, and so Dice kind of whips around. What do you want? I don't think I want to see you right now.
Why you would prefer me to be withered and broken, laying on a bed, turning to dust.
Giger, you know that's not what this is.
And yet that's what it was. Not all things are as they seem, Dice. Not all things are so simple. You must understand. Sometimes you have to go deeper to get out. It may make no sense and it may be a risk, but it is a risk that I am willing to take, with the understanding that if I do not, you and the others may die. Look, and Giger will pull out his dream journal thing and flip it over and hand it to Dice with his hand still on it. And then we'll focus in on the dream that he had the night before. And as he does say, read.
Okay. I want to read some verbiage.
Dice will only skim read it. They're not going to sit there and read it thoroughly.
Okay.
So whatever I pick up, I pick up.
You read what starts as almost the same story you've seen countless other times, or heard at least once or twice, of Giger in this space. You see the description of like the candlelight. Skim past that. You don't care in this phase. You see him reaching for the same sword that's always there. He's reaching for the same things he always has, doing the same thing he always does, and pulls it out. And you see what looks to describe yourself dead right towards the end of it.
Yeah, you're having the same dream you always do, Giger. What about it? It's the same thing over and over and over, and I want to help you the best I can, but I can't. And I just have this feeling that if it would have been taken care of earlier, then we wouldn't be in this right now. You keep saying that the deeper you go, maybe you'll make it out the other end. But what if you don't? What if you keep going forever and you ain't ever coming out? And that's just what if you go? What if right now we can get you out of this right now, right here, with maybe some difficulty, but we can do it. But if you go deeper and you try to do the same damn thing, you ain't gonna be able to come out this time, right? If you realize it's gonna be bad, why do you want to leave us so bad? That's what I don't understand. Is you keep putting yourself in this thing with this deity, and it just seems like you want to kill yourself sometimes. I swear. And what I don't understand why being here with all of us doesn't seem enough. I think. I don't know why you want to keep putting yourself in danger like that. I try to help the best I can, but I can't. I can't do things sometimes, and I hate it.
I need you to understand. I trusted you to try your way. It did not work. I almost died. My deity left me. I was a husk. You saw. But I need you to trust me to try it my way. Either way, I will die. But maybe one way I will still have some life. And if it is adventuring with this group, then it will at least be a happy ending for me. I will die doing what I enjoy. Now we need to go. Artemis is up at the Adventurers Hall. Will you come? Or are you going to continue your temper tantrum?
This ain't a temper tantrum.
You were stomping.
What to do?
You nearly bowled over that poor Hangyokai.
Look, I don't even. Is this what anger is? I don't. Is this what this is? I won't. You are the only person that's made me feel like this, Giger, and I.
I am excellent at drawing that quality out in people. I believe that's why I excelled when I was in the military. Now, if you won't mind, we need to attend to business. I believe that this intertwines with things that I need to do as well. I'm eager to go.
Dice kind of. You can see like the tension kind of relax a bit, but Dice just kind of hunches forward and gets kind of small. And Dice isn't very tall already, but kind of just sinks forward and puts their hands in front of them. I don't want to see you go. I'm scared for you, and I am regularly. I tried. I'm trying to be brave about all of this, but it's something I can't fix.
Well, then let's go fight. I'd rather die than lay down, give up.
And you're sure that's the best thing to do?
I am not sure that it is the best thing to do, but I am sure that it is the only thing we can do.
Dice will stand back up again and look down at themselves and at their with their new armor and their new arms and their new legs, and feels the hair kind of swishing behind them. Suppose I look like this so I can be more like she is. So I guess I'll try that. If you think it's right. And then Dice will walk forward and like have a moment where it looks like they're gonna either say something or try to hug Giger like they usually do, and instead just goes off towards the closest alleyway. And Dice doesn't know, they don't know where they are. It hasn't processed yet, and just walks out towards the main street to kind of like get their bearings to see if they can get back to the Adventurers Hall or the house or anything like that.
Okay. At this point, there's another alleyway inlet just 10, 15 feet ahead because it runs between each actual store. So you guys both kind of like you exit with Giger in tow into that main street. And you're a block or two down from the Adventurers Hall. It's not a far jaunt to get there. But you see that they're in the process of loading up this cart with goods and provisions for the journey. And I'll kind of...
I don't know if...
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know if this changes thing. We've established that Dice has no inside voice, and so I can't scream in this house, but Dice would have been yelling.
Okay.
And not really trying to keep whatever they're trying to say quiet.
Okay.
For your notes. Because I don't know who's here.
That does change a couple things. First of all, when you exit the alleyway, this side of the road, empty. Just no. Because Dice was already kind of loud. And you yelling and not having any control whatsoever just exacerbates that whole issue. But you exit and see that they're in the process of loading up this caravan for transit. And at this point, I'll kind of like zoom in back towards the house where Ondo and Dow are. After Giger leaves, I'm just curious like what goes on in this house with you guys. You have Satsuka there. She's prepared breakfast. You haven't seen Aoi yet. You imagine she's probably sleeping in or something similar at this point.
Well, do you think you found them?
Dow might have run AFK.
I will eat a lot of food. I'm gonna eat so much food, copious amounts of food.
Okay.
If he's in the bathroom right now, in our
Sorry, my cat was attacking my microphone.
We're just over here.
I was gonna eat your food.
What did you say?
I was about to eat your food.
Oh, before that, you asked me a direct question.
I did. I said, do you think he found them?
Found. Oh, do I think Giger found Dice?
Yeah.
Probably. I do find it funny that Dice was all like, "Oh no, Ondo's gonna make us late," and now Dice is gonna make us late, and now I have to change the itinerary for the travel trip, and it's just a fun time.
Wow. I'll laugh with you about that here, but they seem pretty hurt. But I agree.
Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm just I'm curious as to why, even going back in several books that were well over 100 years old, I cannot find a count of the Silent Wood. and I guess it's because it's an extremely dangerous place. But it's so mystifying, Ondo.
Yeah, that's strange. Do you think anyone at the crossroads? Because that's just
We could ask. I don't particularly remember anyone knowing too much at the crossroads, but that would be a better bet. You're right. We could even venture up north to I forget the name of that town, but we could even venture up there if we wanted and see if they have some more information. I just
I think
I don't like going in blind.
I think it might be good for us to check in on Eleanor. If I recall correctly, she may have
Oh,
seen some things.
you're Oh, yes, Eleanor. I thought you were talking about your lady friend, but no, the innkeeper's wife.
Yes, the innkeeper's wife. No, Letitia, I would be happy to see her, but
No, Onda, we can stay the night in the crossroads. That's I can fit it into the itinerary. Hold on, Onda. Let me do a thing.
I mean, technically it is technically 2 days, so you would probably be staying over in the crossroads anyways.
yeah.
You haven't really talked to Artemis about his itinerary, but
I imagine I've been sending Satsuka back and forth between the adventurers hall and our home with updated itinerary notes.
oh my gosh. I will say, about this point, you are joined by a still beautiful but very sleepy Owie. She's kind of in like a dressing gown and like rubbing her eyes, and she says, "Oh, good morning. I hope you all slept well after last night."
I slept great. Thank you. How about you?
"Oh, fine, I suppose. I was kind of under the impression you guys would be gone already. Did your expedition get postponed, or?"
There's a small verbal spat happening. We'll be leaving as soon as that's taken care of, I imagine. Um, Owie, how have things been at the house? It's primarily just been you and Satsuka.
I mean, things are fine. They have the construction crews that come in to renovate the lower level, but I spend most of my time at this point in the Okia, just helping out with basic activities, as you all asked. Artemis
And
was very kind in helping me secure a position
I,
there.
I, I'm sorry if I might be crossing the line here. Um, Owie, I know I've never seen someone of your hereditary lineage, and there's got to be a story there.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay. I'm not going to press this too hard, but Dao is very curious.
With a 17, um, you watch as her jaw just flexes instantly. Um, it's one of those things where she just immediately clamps down on her jaw and grits her teeth, and she kind of gives a bit of a wry smile. She says, "Yes, that is very true. Elves of my lineage are not common here or anywhere. Um,
I'm sorry. I feel like my intention must have come off wrong. I wanted to make sure you feel safe here and in the house uh, with someone like yourself and your history when we had found you. Uh, I feel I've caused some tension. That was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to check in, make sure you feel safe, and sorry.
no, it's. You see her like hesitate, and you can tell that she's thinking about how to put things. It's not so much that she's offended as it's a difficult subject. She says, "You have been very kind, um, and to be frank, um, no, I don't always feel safe, but I feel that I'm in the best position that I could be presently. And to answer your question, um, well, as I'm assuming you could guess, I am something of a runaway, of a sort. Um, I don't know the full situation, but I know at the capital there is, or was, some reason to usher me away.
Or you're feeling unsafe. Are you trained in any sort of weapons at all?
Very rudimentary training, at best.
Ondo, I think we might be able to help Aoi out while we wait for Giger and and Dice. What do you think?
I'm gonna pull out my dagger. And I'll stab it in the table.
Aoi, get some breakfast and then meet us out in the courtyard.
Very well. I can do that, I suppose.
I shall not have anyone who's staying in this house, other than Satsuka for the time being. I plan to train her too, feeling unsafe. This should be a safe haven, and I'm sorry it hasn't been.
I don't think that that's your fault, but I will accept this training, I suppose. She kind of nods and grabs just a quick morsel and follows you out into the courtyard with the. She like pulls the dagger out of the table and takes her just a second to like pull it out. She follows you into the courtyard.
I I imagine, Ondo, correct me if I'm wrong, Aoi might be more built for bows than blades.
Hmm. It's possible. I think maybe we should put it to a test.
Okay, Aoi, which do you feel more comfortable with?
Well, admittedly,
This
neither.
murder weapon? This
I have used daggers before and have some rudimentary sword training, as well as some very light competition style archery. Um, but as far as using them in actual combat, I suppose I don't have much of a preference. Bows are a bit easier to hide and take cover in, and you're not quite in the line of fire.
I know that there are wooden swords around here somewhere. Do we have blunted arrows, Ondo?
I could make a couple, but I'd want to get some more before we get out of here. If I do that.
Well, how about this? Aoi, could I request of you to spend, I would say, 30 minutes a day practicing your archery skills on that tree? And I'll point to like one of the trees that we have in our backyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
On that tree, and I'll go over and I'll carve in a really crude target.
Okay.
And then when we get back from the Silent Wood, we're going to do a little bit more intense training where you will have blunted arrows and I will be rushing at you. And your job is to hit me with your blunted arrows before I can touch you with a wooden sword.
Wouldn't that be dangerous for you, even with a blunted arrow?
I'll be fine.
Okay. She says, "Okay, well, if that's what you'd like, then I suppose I can do that. Thank you."
Yes, and there's weapons upstairs. I don't have any daggers on me other than my boot dagger, but that stays with me.
She can have mine.
And then there are wooden swords. I will grab them and set them out here for you if you'd like to practice some of your basics. Because after your bow work, we are going to work the blade.
Okay, I can practice that if that's what you want. It is not my forte, but I do owe you a certain level of debt. And if you think it would help, then I can absolutely pursue that.
Let's see. Ondo, am I forgetting anything?
The other thing I'd say is be careful with that dagger. It'll see you through pretty much anything you need, but treat it well.
If I'm honest, the dagger is the least of my concerns, but I will heed your warning.
What is your concern?
She kind of gives like one of these half smiles. Is someone of my stature being rushed out of the capital and hidden means that something is or was coming. And I don't know where the disagreement was or what could be coming. All I know is that I had a friend when I needed one. And because of that, I am still here. But I don't know what that will mean for my future.
Well, if you can hold on for like 2 weeks while we go to the Silent Wood and come back, I'm sure we could look into that. That's the kind of stuff we look into, right, Ondo?
It is, but Owie, do you want to go into hiding?
I mean, that's part of why I'm staying here, to an extent. That's why the Okia is kind enough to let me wear a veil to kind of hide my features. But it is my primary goal, yes.
If you ever feel unsafe here, let me know. I know someone up north who could take you in too. Just know that you don't always have to fight.
There might be another place where you could, if you have to abandon here very quickly without letting anyone know, and you need another place to stay. Hold on, and Dow's gonna write down the address of his old home.
In Zagura, the capital?
Yeah, I imagine that like it's abandoned.
Okay.
Or I'd imagine it's still in Dow's possession. He just doesn't upkeep it. It was already paid for. He's just not there ever.
And do you hand this over to her?
Yeah. Now I know where it is. I know that's in the capital, but I'm saying if you find yourself in a situation where if you're dragged back to the capital or anything like that, that'll be a safe location for you.
You hand over this note, and you watch her eyes go to it, and you can tell she recognizes the address. And she kind of like looks at you in a bit of a different light, and she says, "If you think that's best, that is where I will go with the situation."
Can I insight that? That seems...
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hold on!
Nobody's really questioned this for her before. Like, she's been here for ages.
Ah, man!
I will say, this is with advantage.
Yeah, I'm there too.
Because she's not exactly hiding this, and it's not a hard check. You're not quite sure what she recognizes, but there's something in this that she knows. And you can tell that she's looking at you a little bit differently.
There's a shift in the air. I can feel it.
I'm sorry?
No, we'll digest all of that later.
Just know you have options, and you're safe for now.
Lots of options.
I appreciate that. I feel safe. I don't feel unsafe. There are a lot of unknowns presently, and unknowns give me cause for concern, is all, if I'm frank. Well, we can't really stop that, so it is what it is. I hope I haven't offended you or anything. I realize I reacted somewhat.
No, it's there. There seemed to be some recognition when I gave you that note.
I did not realize you were affiliated with the guard, is all.
Well, fun story about that. Not anymore.
I'm very sorry to hear that. Was there an accident?
Well, my grandfather abandoned the military, and then my family was on thin ice, and then my father abandoned the military, and then we were on downright shatterable ice. And we'll say we don't really have many ties to the guard now.
I'm sorry to hear that. I believe I may have met your father. He was a good man.
You what? Hold on.
I think so, but I'm not sure. I wasn't privy to every meeting.
Looks like me, a little bit taller and older.
Yeah, with grayer hair.
What what did he say to you?
Well, not much. I was merely present. Introduced myself. I wasn't privy to everything that went on, but I know that he was connected to the guard.
What
And I know that he was
were
doing
you privy
important work.
to? I'm bombarding you. Please take time to think about this. Um, he passed recently. I am coming to terms with some things. Uh, I will think about what all he had said that you might have overheard, um, and please get back to me when you have it more sorted, when you're less um, ambushed by my inquiries.
You see her kind of like take a breath and sit on the grass and like pat the ground next to her. And she says, "I know. I think we should deal with this now."
I will sit next to Owie.
Uh, she says, "I am, first of all, very sorry." And she pats the ground for Ando too. She says, "You can sit as well. We might as well enjoy the moment while it's here." To explain, I am, well, was formerly a princess of the Empire. I am, or was previously, third in line to the throne, and have been privy to many of my father's doings for many years. But at some point, well, weeks prior, months prior, as you can understand, I did not quite have a track of the time from when I was kidnapped, but several months prior, I was taken in the dead of night by one of the members of our guard. You would likely know them as the Jade Guard, and moved quickly through the house. We left through back roads and left and fled the city, but I was never privy to why. That is how I came to be here through an odd series of happenstances, which is not quite the best, but for a purpose, I suppose. My guard was ambushed, and I was taken as a, well, sizable pay for those that are willing and interested in paying for such. And here I am. My relationship to your father is not extensive. I don't know very much. I do know that he worked closely with the guard and that he was dealing with very special projects that my father was close to. And I don't know that I have more information on that particular thing at this.
I'm gonna level with you, Owie. The Empire in that age was um, explicitly terrible. The things that my father was in charge of were less than honorable. And I'm sorry for the lifestyle change that you've endured, but I can't help but to feel a little bit of joy that I've found another person who knows that style that I just that everything. I with the rest of our party, it's been hard for me to connect with someone on this because they don't really get it. And I want you to know, if you ever want to talk more about any of this stuff, please do not hesitate to tell me.
You see her kind of nod and absorb this for a second. She says, "What do you know about the Empire?"
Um, well, I know that there's a project my father was working on that was it was a deadly weapon that I know is no longer around, thanks to our friends here. I also know that some of the Jade Guard's dealings were, well, a bit less than ideal, as I'm sure some people have known with I don't. They're shady. You don't know what they're up to. I mean, we've seen them with enslaved people, but not in the kind of legal slavery that this empire strangely smiles upon. It's there's just so much there that I think, unless you're on the inside, you might never find out the reason for.
You see her nod and just take a breath. She says, I must admit, I both agree and disagree with you. The Jade Guard does what they do to preserve the Empire and per the whims of my father. But I know my father is not a bad man. I know
I
that there is something that he has done that he's trying to fix. And I think I got too close to that, and that's why I had to leave. But I'm not sure what that was. And I'm sorry to hear, and honestly a little disturbed to hear that you've had such poor experiences with the Jade Guard, because that's not how they should be. But if they are being that way, then it must be for some greater purpose. I have to believe that.
Ali, it's not that when we run into them, it's not the best time. It's that they were actively hunting us.
Do they have a reason to?
No, honestly, no. I'm not responsible for the sins my father committed. If they're hunting him, that's its own thing. But what have I done to piss off the Jade Guard? Or what had I done at the time?
You see her kind of ponder for a moment. She says, I know that I was excommunicated, if you will. Potentially because I got too close. Maybe your father did the same. And what you've experienced is them not knowing whether or not you know the same.
It's at this moment inexcusable to me. I will, however, take your word that your father has the people's best interest. But this Jade Guard discourse is, frankly, at this juncture, going to take neither of us anywhere. I do respect your opinion of the Maui, and I respect that your experience is different, as I'm sure you respect that mine is different. And
Of course.
I would like to return to this conversation at a later date when we know more.
Of course. I will be here as long as nothing happens. And I appreciate your words, and I acknowledge that from being inside the palace, my experience has been different, and words can be minced and tainted just the same as they can out here. I don't think that your experience is incorrect, but I would like to know what has caused it.
Dell will stand up and offer a hand to pull Aoi up.
She like takes your hand, and she's like exceptionally light as an elf. From someone that doesn't deal with elves, it's like
Yeah.
this unique thing. But she rises and she says, "Thank you. I do wish you all well on your journey, and I hope that you have a safe travel. If you need anything, I shall be here with Satsuka. For the meantime, I think it would be fine if I continue working. I enjoy, I guess it sounds a bit crude to say it, but the working classes endeavors, it is different, but it is not without its merits."
Thank you for staying and taking after the place and taking care of Satsuka, as I'm sure you take care of each other. I know you don't have to, and we're all really glad that you are here to look out for each other. And I do mean it. I am truly happy to have found someone who's shared at least some part of that world with me.
It is my pleasure, and I am glad to have found someone that maybe can help with my own interests in the matter. But I am glad to have met you, and again, I am terribly sorry about your father. He was and will remain a good man.
Thank you.
She nods and says, I feel that it is good that I leave at this point. I know that you have a big journey. Please give my regards to everyone, and travel safe.
I don't know how long we'll be gone. Do you have enough money to oversee everything for at least a few weeks?
I believe so. Miss Sumiko provides an ample wage for the both of us for food and the like, and most of the renovations are covered already. So I think we should be fine.
Well, if you really want to fit in with the commoners, here, take this, and Dao will take a scarf off and like drape it over her head,
Just like puddle it.
like put it on her, like open it,
Mhm.
and then just whoosh so that it rests on her shoulders.
She kind of takes it and just smiles and says, "Thank you. I will keep this safe and treasure it."
It was a gift from my father, and now it is my gift to you.
You see her smile kind of fade just a little bit, and she like takes that in, and she just repeats, "I will treasure it, Dao. Thank you."
And then as she leaves, Dal will go, Ondo, how much do blunt arrows hurt?
Well, depends on if it's a half draw or a full draw. But if she's tournament trained, it's not going to be a fun time for you.
I might need you to shoot at me a little bit while we're on this journey to prepare.
Gladly.
Thanks, Ondo.
Oof. What do you guys do after this? At this point, well, let's find out real quick. Giger and Dice, do you return to the house or do you wait there?
Here is intending to go back to the adventurers hall.
Okay, so you guys are waiting there.
Yeah, I think Dice would just kind of go with Giger wherever he's going.
Okay. So after this conversation, Dao and Ondo, you wait the better part of 10, 15 minutes and they don't come back. Do you guys wait in the house for a runner to come or do you go?
I think
After you.
I was going to say we can go.
Yeah, I think that would be fine to go.
Okay. I'm just curious what your characters would do. Like, you don't have to decide to just go because either way there's a plan in motion. I'm just curious what would have happened.
Yeah. So I think, how long is it until we were like scheduled to leave?
There wasn't a set time, if memory serves, but it was the morning, so it's like 10:30 at this point. So it's go time.
Yeah, I think that I'm probably going to go to the Adventurers Hall and meet up with Artemis.
Okay. You all converge on the Adventurers Hall. They push open the doors as we have previously, and Dice and Giger are inside at this point. And about this time, Artemis comes out, and for the first time, you see him in full leather armor with a thick leather jacket on, with a turned-up collar that kind of hides his neckline from the back. And he's adjusting his gauntlets as he comes forward and says, "Well, I trust everyone's ready." And he looks over and says, "I see our latest late joiners are here. If everyone's ready, I believe we can leave." Now this is very well. Then we shall be underway. We have a carriage out front to bring us to the crossroads, where we will spend the night, if memory serves. And then from there, tomorrow morning, we'll be on to the Silent Wood. As long as that fits your needs. Okay, very well. And he and two others kind of join up in the carriage. The carriage seats 5. Artemis is one of them as the carriage driver. So where are we going? Or are we just going to demand the carriage? What's the plan?
I do have a question. I have to make sure that Dice is actually able to sit in the carriage or if they have to walk at the side because they are a hefty lad.
You are a firm, thick lad. Yeah.
With 3 seats.
Yeah, so there's 2 seats in the carriage. So you can sit in the carriage. If you sit in the carriage, probably like one other person can. Just because you are made of literal stone. And there's already supplies.
They would walk next to the carriage just to make sure they get as many people as they can into it. That feels a little selfish just to take up a whole most of a carriage.
Okay. The rest of you, what is your plan?
Since Giger is so small, a small boy.
Him's a small boy.
A small boy. Small boy is going to see if he can kind of get a spot up next to Artemis.
Okay.
And kind of post up there with him as he drives.
Okay. Yeah, he has no problem with that. Ondo and Dow.
Do we still have our horse? Did that come with us all the way to our chateau?
Man, I was just thinking about that. It wasn't a horse, it was a mule, wasn't it?
It was a mule.
Yeah.
Where did you leave your mule?
Guinevere.
God,
I think you said Guinevere 3.
The ancient ones.
The ancient ones.
Yeah, you guys. I was like, you haven't had. When did you guys get a horse? So you guys haven't had your horse since like session 5.
Okay.
No, it was the mule. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the mule named Guinevere.
Yeah, because I think you were going to get a cart because there's the cart builder in the crossroads, but you never got a cart. So
Yeah.
no, you don't have your mule.
I guess I'm gonna walk for a bit.
You all start out, and I'll put some ambiance on because we're at the point that I can. Let's get this guy going.
Maybe I can do like a run in front of everyone as we're getting out of town. Go search for like a meal we can carry or something.
You're looking for a meal you can carry?
A meal, so I don't know. I guess I'd do. We don't really have. Maybe like foraging for like berries and stuff. I'm not trying to do any hunting, but just enough to cover some rations without having to eat them.
Okay. Make a survival check. With a 19. I mean, it's foraging for berries is not super duper easy. When you're feeding, because right now at this point your entire group is the 5 of you plus Artemis plus 2 others. So that's food for 8 people. You find a decent amount of berries. You know that Artemis is bringing supplies, so you're decently set there. But you find a little bit to offset that.
Okay.
If you'd like to go hunting, you can. That would be more substantial food than just like foraging for plants and such.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how much we have on us already, or if we should do it later when we're farther out on the trail.
Okay. He's packaged supplies, and he would make sure that you guys are aware of the fact that he has supplies and that for the journey.
Then we're set.
Okay. So, Giger, I have a question for you. You are in the front of the carriage with Artemis. Is there a conversation that you're hoping to have on the first leg of the journey, or just to sit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Giger, as they're riding, Giger will eventually, for a little bit, sit quietly and just kind of take things in. But then as they get further out of Azeroth and get more into the road, he'll look to Artemis and understand there was some creature that took your friends. You said something about flame.
Yes. I believe so. I'm not entirely sure, unfortunately. I believe I relayed the story to you. Unfortunately, I was napping when it or they or whatever happened. Um, it's the most uncomfortable thing because if there were ever a moment that I wanted to wake, or would think that I would be awake, it is that. But I just remember being so overwhelmingly tired, and I lay down and I slept. And when I woke up, everyone was gone. Um, my beloved Grendel was burnt to ash, and upon seeing that, as you can imagine, I was in quite a state. And I jumped up and grabbed my sword to see if there was any danger, and I realized my other two companions were dead as well. And then I ran, but I didn't see what it was. It feels foolish now, but at the time I was concerned for my life. It's not much justification, but it is the truth. What's your worry?
Froze. You napped, I froze. My men fell. I watched them all die, suffering in flames, in agony, and I froze.
Traumatic events and fear does unspeakable things to the greatest of men. I don't think, given the opportunity, we would have done that. But, unfortunately, life deals us a certain hand, and all we can do is move forward. So if you're doubting yourself, try not to. All you can do is your best, and anything beyond that is the impossible.
What
Flames.
what took you to the Silent Wood in the first place, Artemis?
Well, the Silent Wood is a source for many alchemical and arcane ingredients that can fetch a fair price for those brave enough to enter. We were in the process of doing that and securing, admittedly, a specific flower that Grendel wanted. So we've gone a little bit deeper. There are certain ingredients that require a specific environment in order to thrive. The Silent Wood is a source of them, which is why the Crossroads is so effective as a marketing town, because they have easy access to those ingredients. It's not safe, but it fetches a good price if you can get them.
This place that you spoke of being in. Do you remember much of it?
Vaguely. I remember it was a temple in a beautiful glade. I remember there were trees all around, but here the sun shone most beautifully on the temple, and we thought it was a safe place to rest. And so we entered the clearing and rested. Well, I did. I can't speak to my companions. It's interesting because We'd traveled the silent wood previously, and the forest itself is daunting. It's dark and foreboding and ghastly quiet. But here, everything seemed safe and tranquil. And then it wasn't. And to this day, I never saw anything. When I ran, it was as clean and safe and tranquil as it ever was. But I don't know.
Tell me. And Giger will hold up his hand with the Athala in it. Did you see anything that looked like this?
Like takes your hand, says, "No, but you should keep that bandage just to prevent infections." But no, it was nothing like that.
Giger will just kind of nod. Good.
Giger, what are you concerned with?
You mentioned the flames. My patron has a penchant for them. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't linked. I'm still not sure, but maybe slightly reassured that it may not be.
Well, I suppose we'll find out soon enough, but I unfortunately lack the knowledge in the arcane to tell you. Specifically with this, at least. I haven't seen anything regarding your injuries. And so I suppose to that extent we have some level of proof, but I suppose we'll only know for sure when we arrive. I don't want you to feel as if you're going into this against your will. Do you feel unsafe on this journey?
With my patron, one always feels a bit unsafe, Artemis. No. I am in the safest place I can be. These fools that come with me, though they do sometimes do foolish things, are all proven to be very capable of handling situations. If I were to be anywhere, it would be with them.
You see, he kind of smiles. He says, I believe you're right. The world has a funny way of bringing people together like this. My party was like this once, and I know this party will take you far. I think I'll close this out here with you all riding this road out of Azeroth towards the crossroads, heading westward again for the second time now. The second time you've gone to this exact path. The first time you went down this road, you passed lush fields where just on the outskirts of Azeroth, farmers were raising their crops, which leads out into the plains of Takerath. This time it is not quite so beautiful and lush. Winter has fallen. While it has not begun yet to snow, the turn of the seasons has come and gone, and where once were fields lush with grain, harvests have happened. Where once were plains now are not quite lush, still living but hibernating plants. The world in and of itself is more threadbare as you make your way towards the crossroads, and I think next week when we pick up, we will be picking up at the entrance of the crossroads at evening time when you guys arrive. Thank you as always for a wonderful session, and for those of us that have listened in. But that is where we will end the session this evening, I believe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all of your hard work with these characters, and for everything you guys do. You guys done good. It was a good session. A lot of lore.
Man, I don't think my voice could have kept up much longer. Oh,
I was wondering.
Goodness. It was Giger is a fun one to voice.
Oh, I believe anything that's got
But
that lower gargle in it is so hard to maintain.
he's fun to do, but it's so hard to keep up, especially later in the night, and especially because I didn't get much sleep last night, so
Well, neither did
I'm tired anyway. Yeah, true.
you're a method acting. I get it, honestly, completely
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, totally.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
sleep like a baby tonight, though.
I mean, I can absolutely attest to the fact that accents are very hard to keep up, especially if you're not trained in them. My accent slip like 95% of the time, but you did a good job. You, especially with the scenes where there was a lot more tension, you guys did a good job of maintaining that and keeping that. You just done good. Plus,
Still on stream.
yeah, we are right now. We'll be closing out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cover your labels. Greek 'em. That's fun fact. That is the actual film term for covering up labels or disfiguring them. It's called Greeking your labels. I don't know why, but it is the thing that you do.
Weird.
Yeah, it's just what they call it. It's just
It's all Greek to me.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But anyway, with that, I will close the stream. Thank you all for watching and for listening in and for supporting us because we can't do well. We could do what we do, but it wouldn't be quite as enjoyable, and we wouldn't have a record of it. And my passion with this is just having a record of the events that have laid forth here, and just later on we can retell the story and kind of enjoy it all together. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for joining us in our weekly game, and we will see you next week. You're over here. Sorry, I have two monitors.